You know that person who checks how busy a place is before they go? Who waits 5 extra minutes in the car until the crowd clears a little? Who loves concerts on videos but feels tired just thinking about standing in the middle of one? Maybe that person is you. Have you noticed how some people don't just dislike crowds, they shrink inside them? Like the noise gets louder than it should. Like every movement around them is touching their skin even when no one is. Most people think it's shyness, or fear, or being too sensitive. But what if it's not about being scared of people at all? What if it's about how deeply some people feel everything? Here's the part most people never think about. Some minds don't filter the world very well. They take in sounds, faces, emotions, movement, all at once. Not because they want to, because their brain is built that way. Psychologist Elaine Aron once called these people highly sensitive, not weak, not fragile, just more open to the world. So when they walk into a crowded place, it's not just bodies and noise, it's energy, mood, tension, excitement, anger, happiness, all mixed together. And their nervous system is trying to carry all of it at the same time. Let me tell you a small story. Imagine someone at a family wedding. Music is loud, everyone is talking, someone is laughing too hard. People keep asking questions. Why are you so quiet? Are you okay? They smile, they nod, they say they're fine. But inside, their heart is racing. Not because they hate their family, not because they don't want to be there, but because their mind is running like 10 open apps at once. They notice who looks uncomfortable. They hear every argument in the background. They feel the pressure to be social, to perform, to be normal. And after 2 hours, they're not bored. They're exhausted. So they go outside, sit alone, check their phone, breathe again. And someone says, "Why are you always disappearing?" But disappearing is how they survive. Now here's where it gets interesting. Many people who hate crowds are actually very good with people. One-on-one, they listen deeply. They remember small details. They notice tone, mood, and the pause before a sentence. They're calm but anxious, independent but quietly lonely, strong but sensitive to emotional noise. They don't hate humans. They hate too much at once. And sometimes there's another layer. Some people learned early that crowds were not safe, not physically unsafe, emotionally unsafe. Maybe they grew up in loud homes, where voices meant conflict, where attention meant pressure, where being seen meant being judged. So their body learned a lesson before their mind ever did. Busy equals danger. Noise equals stress. Too many eyes equals tension. Even when life becomes peaceful later, the body remembers. That's why some people feel calm in empty cafes, late-night streets, quiet parks, not because they're antisocial, but because silence feels like safety. Have you ever felt that? That strange relief when plans get canceled? That soft happiness when a place is half empty instead of full? If that's you, tell me in the comments. And also tell me how old are you and where are you watching from? I really want to know who is listening to this late at night with me. Let's talk about work for a second. There are people who do great in meetings, but fall apart at office parties. They can lead projects, solve problems, and handle pressure, but put them in a loud lunchroom and suddenly they want to eat in their car. Not because they're awkward, but because their brain doesn't rest in chaos. They like depth, not volume, connection, not crowd energy. They're the kind of people who can sit with you during your worst day, but they struggle in small talk with 10 people at once. And that creates a strange kind of guilt. They start asking themselves, why can everyone else handle this? Why am I like this? Why do I need so much space? So they push themselves. They stay longer than they should. They smile when they want to leave. They say yes when their body is already saying no. And slowly, quietly, burnout begins. Not loud burnout, silent burnout. The kind where you feel tired of people, but still crave connection. Where you want to belong, but don't want to be overwhelmed. Where you love deeply, but need distance to breathe.
It's a painful contradiction. Strong but sensitive, social but easily drained, brave but easily overstimulated. And here's the part nobody sees. When these people go home after a crowded day, they replay everything. Did I talk too little? Did I look rude? Did I seem strange? They worry about being misunderstood because they've been misunderstood their whole life. People think they're cold or distant or uninterested, but inside they feel a lot, sometimes too much. This is where the hidden grief lives, not dramatic grief, quiet grief, the grief of feeling out of place in a world that moves too fast and too loud, the grief of loving connection but needing solitude to survive it, the grief of wanting to be seen without being overwhelmed. And many of them never say this out loud because they don't want to sound difficult or dramatic or weak, so they carry it alone. But here's what I want you to hear. This sensitivity makes crowds hard is the same sensitivity that makes you kind, perceptive, deeply human. You notice things others miss. You feel shifts in mood. You understand pain without words. You don't just walk through the world, you absorb it. And yes, that makes life heavier sometimes, but it also gives you emotional intelligence that can't be taught. You know when someone is not okay, even if they say they are. You know when a room feels tense. You know when someone needs silence more than advice. That's not a weakness, that's an emotional radar. Survival made you this way, but survival also gives you wisdom. You learned to protect your energy, to read people, to find peace and quiet. And that quiet is not emptiness. It's where your thoughts breathe, where your heart settles, where you recharge so you can love again. Think about the lighthouse. It doesn't stand in the middle of the storm screaming with the waves. It stands a little apart, quiet, steady, still guiding, still shining, just not drowning in the chaos. People who hate crowded places are often like that. They don't disappear from the world. They just need distance to keep their light on. Before we end, I want to ask you something. Do crowds drain you, or do they make you anxious, or both? And when was the first time you remember feeling overwhelmed by too many people? Tell me in the comments. I read them. And if this video feels like it's speaking your language, maybe hit like so more people like you can find this too. And if you want more quiet, honest talks about the human mind and heart, you can subscribe. No pressure. Just stay if this feels like home. Because some people are built for the noise, and some are built for depth, and both belong in this world. But if you are someone who hates crowded places, please know you're not broken. You're just someone who feels deeply in a loud world, and that's not a flaw. That's a different kind of strength.